I'm going to keep this vague and not name specific names or schools because some of the people involved are currently very powerful men, and I know the lengths they would go to keep it quiet. And just so we're clear, this was my experience when I was in college at a certain school. I have no idea if this sort of thing still goes on at campuses now, but given how long some of these traditions have gone on, something tells me it still does. I feel that my experience needs to be told as a warning to others, and hopefully this reaches the right people who need to hear it. Alright, here goes. I was the smart, rich kid. I say that not to brag, but to set the stage. It's relevant. My parents come from old money, New England money that goes back generations. They're the types of people who host fundraising dinners at their estate for the governor, so yeah, that was my childhood. Some of my friends growing up might look back now and say that they never knew they were rich growing up, but I knew. Like I said, I was the smart kid, but all you had to do was watch TV or take a trip into the city, and it was obvious. We didn't live like most people. I was given the best of the best growing up. The best tutors, the best tennis coaches, the best references when it was my time to get my first summer job. And when it was time for me to choose a university, I didn't have much of a say-so in the matter. My father made sure that I would be going to the same Ivy as him, and his father, and so on. Again, I won't mention the name of the specific university, but believe me when I say that during my years there, the higher-ups were completely aware that events I'm about to describe were happening, and were complicit with them all. As soon as I was accepted, and I say that in air quotes, because with the amount of money my family has donated to the university over the years, my acceptance was never in question. Anyway, as soon as I got the letter, my father informed me that I would have the green light to join the same organization at the university that he was a part of. He built it up to be quite the honor. The men who shaped the country, he said, and he made sure to let me know that this was not some frat. And he said it as if even the mention of the word frat around this organization would somehow stain its reputation. I didn't really want to join any frats or organizations. I was quiet, shy, and in most ways the complete opposite of my father, but it was never really my choice. And I want to make it clear, I don't want this to seem like I'm writing it in a way that is meant to make you feel sorry for me. Not at all. I have been handed a silver spoon in life, and I'm fully aware of it. But with that spoon comes certain obligations when you come from a family like mine. You're given a tremendous amount of freedoms not afforded to the majority of the world, but other freedoms, like being independent, doing what makes you happy, and chasing your dreams, are stripped away at birth. My freshman year started and I shared a dorm with a guy named Lawrence. Our cohabitation wasn't by coincidence. Our fathers were friends, and he was also in the same organization as me. The first meeting happened 2 weeks into the school year, off campus, at night, in what appeared to be an abandoned building that had a for lease placard hanging in the window. I wouldn't have thought I was in the correct place had I not followed Lawrence there. We both looked at each other when we saw the building and shrugged as we entered. Once the door was opened, we were stopped by someone, and black cloth bags were immediately placed over our heads. I couldn't see anything, but was instructed to put my hands on the shoulders of the brother in front of me, and followed and told to stop. I did as instructed, wondering what in the world I had walked into. If any of this sounds familiar, like you've seen it in a movie, that wasn't us. Same concept, different campus, and what I stepped into was a bit darker and more calculated, but I'll get to that soon. They pulled our hoods off and shouted at us to form a large circle. 3 figures stood in the middle, wearing black robes and masquerade masks, all with deformities, giving them a terrifying appearance. The figure in the middle began speaking about loyalty and the dedication to the Brotherhood, and how grateful we should each be for having the opportunity to join. No name was ever used to describe the organization other than the Brotherhood. After what amounted to a cult initiation speech, we were told to walk forward and take a drink from a communal chalice. Every fiber of me wanted to turn around and run out the doors, but I did as instructed, hoping against hope that whatever I was about to ingest wasn't spiked with something. Once we all took a sip, the leader told us that we now have the blood of our elders running through us, and we all have a chance to do something truly amazing with our lives, if we pass the tests. I thought the whole ordeal was super corny, but as I looked around at the other initiates' faces, there wasn't a trace of a smile to be seen. Everyone seemed intently focused on the ritual. The whole thing lasted about 15 minutes, and we were told by the figures in masks and robes that we needed to be alert and always at the ready, because we might be summoned at any time without notice to perform what he called offerings. 2 weeks went by and I began to fall into the college routine. Wake up late, go to class, grab lunch at the food hall, back to class for a while, then settle into my shared dorm for the evening while I studied and played computer games online. Lawrence was more of a socialite than myself and was out with friends a lot on evenings, so most of the time I was by myself in the dorm, which suited me fine. The night of the Brotherhood's gathering started to all feel like a fever dream as more time passed, and I hoped that all of the talk of performing an offering or whatever was just talk. But it wasn't. That very night, while I was in the middle of finishing up some classwork, the door to my dorm flung open. There were 3 figures in masks, different mask than the one worn by the leaders, and these figures weren't in robes, just normal clothes. They bolted in and lifted me up by the shoulders and informed me that I would be coming with them. They walked me out of the dorm hall, with one going in front to make sure there weren't any teachers or students around. Then they shuffled me into a wooded area behind my dorm. I was shuffled further into the thicker woods when we came upon a deer laying on its side. It was wounded, badly, with blood trickling from its midsection. Out of the literal shadows, another figure stepped closer. They were in a robe and one of the same masquerade mask as the leaders of the Brotherhood had worn previously. He spoke while the other figures continued to hold me. "Welcome to your initial offering. Before you is a gravely wounded animal that represents much more than just that. It represents a problem that has only one solution, much the same as you will find in the world around you. There are problems that need correcting to sustain the order of things. Will you be one of the many who ignore these problems and continues living your life oblivious to such things? Or do you have what it takes to be one of the few, one of the Brotherhood, who understands their calling and who does what needs to be done? The choice is yours." And with that, he opened his hands and revealed a shiny, long hunting knife. "Are you serious?" I asked. "Very," the masked man answered. I stared at the deer as it laid on the ground, suffering. The 3 figures holding me loosened their grip. I was free now to make my decision. This was all so insane to me. Slaughtering a deer wasn't on my bingo card for things I would be doing in college. My father used to try to get me to go with him on hunting trips. I went once, but could never bring myself to pull the trigger. I had never seen him so disappointed, and he never asked me to go again. Whatever some men have inside of them that compels them to hunt animals, I didn't seem to have it in me. "This is crazy," I said, shaking my head in disbelief. "How did the deer even get here in the first place?" "That's not the right question," the masked figure answered. "In life, you will be faced with many problems that come seemingly out of nowhere. The question is, will you be part of the solution or just another problem?" "Yeah, this is bullshit. This deer is a defenseless animal, not some problem. Wounding it just for the sake of proving some macho point in your little club is insane, and I'm pretty sure also a crime. I'm out." "You need to think carefully about your decision," the leader said. "Once you're out, there's no coming back." "Great, thought about it, still out." I half expected the group to grab me and hold me there against my will, but that didn't happen. Instead, I began walking back to my dorm, while I heard the unmistakable sound of a knife driving into flesh behind me, combined with a terrible squeal that came from the animal. "Savages," I muttered to myself. As soon as I got back to the dorm, I phoned my dad and told him what had happened. "You quit?" was his only response. "What? Yeah, I quit." They wanted me to butcher a deer, Dad." He didn't say anything. "Hello? Are you still there?" "I'm here," he finally answered. "I can make a few calls and try to get you back in." "What? Are you even hearing me? They kidnapped me from my dorm and dragged me into the woods to kill a deer. I should be calling the cops, if anything." "It's a metaphor, son. The Brotherhood pushes you out of your comfort zone. They put you in uncomfortable spots to prepare you for life after college, to prepare you to be a leader in a world full of sheep. They helped me, just as they've helped countless others for generations. It'll make sense to you once you're older, but for now, let me make that call. You sound like a cult leader, Dad. I shouldn't have even called you. Just forget that I said anything." I hung up on him and dialed 911. "Yes, I'd like to report an animal sacrifice on campus." A week went by. No update from the cops on my 911 tip, but it felt like the right thing to do. Life at school went back to normal, except for my living situation, as Lawrence became distant after the deer incident. He never mentioned it directly, but he barely spoke to me now. The dorm was small, but whenever we were both home together, it felt like there was an ocean dividing us. I had noticed some of my things going missing as well, the most important being the extensive notes I took for a science test that I had coming up. I for sure left them on my desk, but now they were nowhere to be found. The weekend came and Lawrence said he was leaving to go visit his parents. I used the time to catch up on some studying and chill out while playing some computer games online until I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore. I finally went to sleep until I was abruptly woken up by someone putting duct tape on my mouth. There were 4 of them, all dressed in black hoodies and wearing face masks. Not the masquerade kind, but the kind lawn care people use to keep dust out of their nose and mouth. 2 of them grabbed my legs and the other 2 got my arms. They were quite literally carrying me out of the dorm. I was in an absolute panic and tried to scream, but any noise was muffled by the tape. Once outside, they put me in the back of a work van and we were soon speeding off. "Should have kept your mouth shut," one of them said, while one of the other men nudged him to keep him quiet. They drove me for what felt like 10 minutes. The van didn't have windows in back, so I had no idea where they had taken me. Once the van stopped, they shuffled me out of the back doors and into the parking lot of what looked like a long abandoned factory or warehouse. It was quiet wherever we were, with no streetlights, no houses, no people. 2 of the assailants held me by my arms, with a third close by in case I tried to make a break for it. The 4th stood in front of me and reached into his pocket. He pulled out a syringe. "Freshman year can be brutal," he said as he held the syringe in one hand. "Very stressful, and always sad when a young person turns to drugs as a solution." It became very clear what was happening. They were going to inject me with a lethal concoction of drugs and make it seem like I was a depressed kid who couldn't hack his freshman year of college. I had no doubt they had probably already typed out a fake suicide note as well. This was insane. All over some stupid initiation stunt that I had turned them in for? I was in absolute shock, but knew I had to figure something out fast or it was going to be the end for me. I started trying to speak, figuring there would be no way to overpower the 4 of them, so using my wits would be the only way out. Unfortunately, the tape made it impossible to do so. "Go ahead and take it off. Let's hear what he has to say," the leader ordered. One of them removed the tape from my mouth, which felt like it had removed all of the facial hair from my face, but that was the least of my concerns right now. "You don't want to do this," I said, trying to think of something quickly. The kidnappers laughed, but only the leader spoke. "Oh, really? And why is that?" "Because of the note I sent my parents." "And why would I care about a note that you sent your parents?" "Because I explained in great detail everything that has happened to me since joining the Brotherhood, and told them explicitly that if I should be harmed, to tell the police that it was 100% the Brotherhood behind it. Oh, and I also included all of your names." "You're bluffing," the leader said. "You don't even know the leaders' names. You only know who the initiates are." "You sure about that, Carter?" I was bluffing about the letter, but I had done some research on the Brotherhood itself and who the leaders were. I could tell by his reaction that I hit a nerve. "Just do it already," one of the figures holding my arms chirped. The leader responded with a firm, "Shh, let me think real quick." I interrupted his thinking. "Look, I'm transferring out of this place. I'm not going to another class here. Honestly, I hate it here. Nothing bad has happened yet. I haven't seen your faces. Let me go and walk away. Let me transfer schools, and we let this end here. You carry on with your club, I get on with my life, and my parents won't spend their insane wealth hiring investigators to solve the murder of their only son. Think about it. Don't be stupid." "Shut up!" the leader screamed. "You aren't in charge here." But I could see the wheels turning inside his head. It was working. "Just let me..." Boom! A fist straight to my face. Then everything began to swirl. I woke up maybe a minute later, maybe 10. Who's to say? It was still dark in the parking lot, but the van and figures were gone. I had the taste of blood in my mouth and a splitting headache, but I managed to walk to a gas station a few blocks away and call my mom to come get me. I told her everything on the way home, and even my dad couldn't defend the organization anymore. I made good on my promise to never attend another class at that school, but not the one about just walking away. That's not how it works when you're from a family like mine. Rich and powerful families don't get bullied. That's just how it works. My parents went straight to the chief of police, then hired the most expensive attorney around to file personal suits on the families of the leaders of the Brotherhood. It wasn't about winning money. It was about showing a display of force that this family was not one to be messed with. I would have been all right with letting it rest that night, but that's not how my father was wired. He had to win. "Well, that's not how the Brotherhood used to operate," was all he ever said to me about what happened. No real apology for forcing me to join, and no other explanation. After extensive legal action, the university assured us that all secret organizations on campus had ceased all operations, beginning immediately. I have no clue if that's true or not. The university probably believes it's true, but when you have a group that's been operating for hundreds of years, who has ex-presidents and senators as former members, who's going to stop them? I just wanted to tell my side of the story. I'm sure it's harder to keep clubs like this a secret now, with everyone having a camera phone or recording device at the ready. But I'm willing to bet that some of them still exist. And if you ever find yourself blindfolded and led into a dark room with people wearing robes, just run.